everyone, Jess here from the Scrappy Sisters, and thank you for joining me for a Kitaholic Kits design team layout. So the minute I saw this rainbow paper, I knew I had to cut it apart and I had to distress the edges. It seems to be a bit of a in thing at the moment, and I just knew this paper would be perfect for that. So I wanted to have a play with the watercolors, and I don't actually have one of those sea sponge things at home already, so I thought I wanted to explore what that would be like to work with, and it was amazing. So I didn't prep my paper. I just decided I'd live with any warping that might happen from the amount of water I'm using, and I just dove on in. So you can see that I used quite a bit of water. I wet my paper first so that the watercolor would sort of glide on a little bit more smoothly. I then started painting with the brush, but very quickly moved to the sponge. And you can see the difference that the sponge made in just sort of swishing a nice, beautiful motion onto the page. Gorgeous. I did flick some of the same color paint while it was all wet, and the flicks pretty much disappeared. So I dried off the rainbow arch and then did my paint splatters after it was dry, because I do want those darker splatters to sort of show up. I realized that I didn't have my rainbow arches in order, or the order that I want them in, or the order that they should be in. So I thought I'd better spend a quick second and get them back into order so that I actually paint in the correct 5 colors. So I've done my light blue and now I'm going to do my dark blue. You'll notice again, I started by putting a splodge of water, like an arch of water on the paper first. It really does make a difference as to how smooth the watercolors just sort of flow onto the page. It's like having oil on a non-stick pan. It gives it something to sort of glide off of. So because I noticed that the splatters didn't really work until after the arches were dry, I'm going ahead and popping all of the arches on now. Please also note that my water was really quite dark before I did the white arch, and it didn't have any effect. The white still came out beautifully white. Now, of course, you can't really see it, and I could have skipped the white altogether, but I chose to include the white, and yes, it came out perfect. Now, after a quick blast with my heat gun, it's time to do my splatters. So I am just going back in with the exact same color and a really wet brush. This is just the brush that came in the kit. I could have filled it with water. It's an aqua brush, so that's sort of what it's designed for. You can put water down the tube, so you don't need to keep dipping your brush into a glass of water. But I just decided I wanted it to be really drippy, so I just decided I'd keep dipping it into the water instead of taking the time to fill it up. I think if I was going to do some more longer painting, that I would put the water down the tube. So after all of these splatters are done, I blasted again with my heat gun just to get this as dry as possible, and then it's time to distress and attach each of my arches. So I went ahead and distressed those, and it started attaching those off screen because that took me a little bit of time to distress. I do have a distressing tool, but I actually found in this case I wanted it quite messy and quite distressed, and I actually ended up just using the blade of my scissors. So once they are all stuck on, you can see from the original paper, my arches are quite further apart and are more spread out across my page, which is how I wanted them. So you can see that I've attached all those there, and that some of them fit perfectly on the page and some have overlapped the edges just a little that I will trim off shortly. I have 2 photos on this layout, so I've already gone ahead and matted those in white and blue, and now I'm just going to attach those just on the edge of my rainbow here. I've got foam underneath those just to give those a little bit of a pop over top of the rainbow. So these are my remote learning, having meetings with my team. I am a teacher, and when we first started doing our remote learning the first time, it was quite the novelty that we were all meeting together as a team. So the photo of my laptop is like my entire school meeting. So there's over 50 staff members in that meeting. For those of you in America, we don't have a huge school. We're just kind of standard size here in Australia. And then the second photo, the more close-up one of the faces, is just my small team of specialist staff meeting together. And then I pulled out a lot of the ephemera that was related to this home learning and educating and recording videos and that kind of thing from home. And I decided to put those on the rainbow arches sort of by tone on tone, so matching the colours. I wasn't going to at first, but when I checked out the kind of ephemera that I'd chosen, I realised that I pretty much had one in every colour of the arches, so that I would deliberately put them on each matching arch, and I think that turned out really cute. I was really happy with that. So the only arch that's not specifically represented is white, but of course there's white in everything, so that works perfectly. I have to, of course, pop nearly everything up on foam because my photos are up on foam, and I have nearly all of my ephemera overlapping my photos. So it does add a little bit of bulk to your layout, but I do love dimension, so that doesn't bother me. I try not to go thicker than one layer of foam, but I have been known to stick 2 dimensions together and then put that down. So it has got a little bit bulky at times, but this one in particular is just one foam thick. So I'm going to just label this Zoom because that's what we're doing. We're Zooming, we're on Zoom, the good old Zoom. Never even heard of Zoom before this whole fiasco started, and now I feel like we are all Zoom experts now. I was using it to record my flip classroom lessons where I would record myself and then share my screen and record all of that and then upload that for the kids so that they could look back on it and do their classwork, and it was just crazy. But we're back in it again, and it is going to be super crazy this time around because we've done it once, we know what to do, and this time we're all going to nail it. Parents, teachers, kids, it's going to be amazing. So I'm popping on some splatters. I've got some gold and I've got some navy splatters. Obviously, I decided I missed something. I wanted a little bit of green. I don't know why. I decided I wanted to throw in some green. Just, a completely different colour to be part of the fun. So I did. I really don't know why. I don't know what my brain was thinking. I just really wanted to put another completely different colour off the rainbow. So then some enamel dots, and again I stuck with the tone on tone feel, so I've popped those on the arches in their colour representative. So once I go ahead and stick all of those down on each of the arches, let's just take a moment to talk about how gorgeous these enamel dots are from this collection. There are tons of them. There are so many colours. I just love them, and I love the 3 different sizes, and I love them. So I have got some close-ups for you of this particular layout. So thank you so much for sticking around and watching. I hope you have enjoyed this process. I hope it has inspired you to jump on into your kit, get going and creating. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.